Hi, people. Good to see you again. And in case you haven't noticed, I've had a haircut, and so my forehead is shinier than it normally is because my hair is significantly shorter. And I'm happier, by the way, and I hope all is good. Our topic for tonight follows through with what we have been discussing. This is a course in weighing less. And like in any course, we can't do it in 1 week. We have to have lessons that follow one after the other. And what I want to focus on today is the fact that success is dependent on, it starts with change. And what's so incredibly interesting, one simple change is all we need. Now, Albert Einstein, who was a brilliant scientist, said that if you do it again and again and again and hope it's going to be different this time, that's a form of insanity. You have chosen to weigh less. Whether it's difficult or whether it's not difficult is really not the point. You have made a choice. And as I've said to you before, you don't need to justify that choice. You are who you are. You have every right to have made that choice. However, if on some level or other you expect to be successful with that choice without making any change, is ridiculous. Now, one simple change is all I'm talking about. A gentleman just left whose beads I put on today. I've known this gentleman for 11 years. We've interacted, and he's, for 11 years, talked to me about losing weight. This year, about 2 months ago, he approached me and said, "Hey, Doc, it's time. This is not healthy for me. Look at me. I need to do something about it." And I said, "What would you like to do about it?" He said, "Well, for 11 years, I've heard about your program. How about me?" And I said, "Fine. How about you?" And he signed up for the program. I saw him today, and he said to me, this past week he was having a difficult time. And I said, "Oh, and what made it difficult?" He said, "Remember you told me I was going to start hearing voices? Well, Those voices are getting louder. I said, are you hallucinating? He said, no. The voices keep saying to me, and I don't fully understand them, but they want me to cheat. And they keep bugging me and bugging me and bugging me. And I have a dilemma because I'm betwixt and between. You know, in the 2 months that I've been on the program, I've already lost 44 pounds. I want to finish up, but this voice is talking to me. And I said, tell me, is it a real voice? He said, it must be. And I said to him, how do you know it's a real voice? He said, because it's not in the air, it's inside my head. And so it's got to be some part of me that's talking to me. And what it keeps saying is, I want. And I'm here. I want your advice. What should I be doing? And I said, what you need to do today is make a change. You've got to pay attention to that voice. He said, why? If you don't pay attention to that voice, what's going to happen? He said, well, before I went on the program, I would hear that voice and I would put something in my mouth. I said, well, if it's the same voice and you don't pay attention to that voice, what's going to happen? And he said, I'm going to put something in my mouth. I said, okay. So number one, you got to pay attention to that voice. Number two, the voice says, I want. And I said to you that today, one simple change is what we need to do. And he said, okay. Well, what can I change? And I said, it really makes no difference. Remember what Einstein said. If I do it again and again and again and continue to do it again without changing anything, that's a form of insanity. Well, you don't want me to call you insane if you're going to do it again, whatever that is. So do something. He said, like what? I said, how about taking a piece of sugarless gum? He said, what will that do? What did the voice say? He said, the voice said, I want. Okay. And what did you do? I took a piece of sugarless gum. But it's not what the voice wanted. I said, stop. Who is in charge here? You or the voice? And he said, I'm in charge. But you're telling me that if you take a piece of sugarless gum, the voice is going to be upset. He said, yeah. And I said, who's the boss? And he said, I am. But, and here's that interesting thing. I love that word, but. I'm working with someone, we're close, we're family, and they say to me, I love you, but. That's the most strengtheningly interesting word in my vocabulary. Because the moment you say but, you change everything. You love me, but means you only love me if I whatever. If we're going to be in a relationship and that voice is who I'm having a relationship with, because remember, the voice didn't come, it's not a hallucination, it didn't come out of heaven. That voice came from inside you. And the voice said, I want. And I've said to you, if you do it again and again, that doesn't make any sense. So we have to do it differently. So the voice said, I want. And I said, give it a piece of sugarless gum. It's not going to be happy with that sugarless gum. No, it may not. But you have responded to it, haven't you? Yes. You did give it something, haven't you? Yes. But that's not what it wanted. And that's correct. Also, it's not what it wanted. But it is not you. You told me it was a voice. There's you plus the voice. Now, which of you is truly dominant? The you that you are or that voice? Now, you've chosen to weigh less. Do you have to justify it? No. Are you in the process of losing weight? Yes. If you listen to the voice, what's going to happen to the road that you're on? It's going to be interfered with. Now, that voice, does it have a right to say, I want? There was a pause. And the answer is, I guess. It's a voice. It's in my head. It said, I want. So I guess it has the right. Now, is it the boss or are you the boss? And the answer was, I never thought about it. I am the boss. And what would you call that voice? Since it's not you, the adult, it's another aspect of your personality. And all of us have different aspects to our personalities. But you, the you, are the dominant part of that personality. Good evening, Jerry. Now, here is the key, and let's focus on this. All of us, in circumstances like this, need to make a change. The moment you make a change, you take back control. You're the one who decided you want to weigh less. You don't have to justify it. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Nobody said you should do it this way or this way or this way, but you're doing it our way. And this is part of the curriculum. We're not going to learn everything in one night. We're going to go a step at a time, and in the process of going a step at a time, we're going to grow and learn and become the more of you that you wish to be. So I've made a list. Maybe you should make a list also. What kind of change, one simple change, should I make? Now, I'm just giving you a list. You can make your own list. Here You can make your own list. You do so in so many other areas of your life, and you use these lists to help support you. Well, here's a list that I've made. Use Tic Tacs. You want something? I hear you. I'm giving you Tic Tacs. I don't want Tic Tacs. I understand. I'm giving you Tic Tacs. Get up and walk around. You're not giving me anything. Oh, yes, I am. I'm giving you distraction. Get up and walk around. The voice is not going to be happy. And if the voice is not happy, I guess you should be depressed or unhappy because it's your job to satisfy that voice. And where did that voice come from? Inside you. So a part of you is not happy that you're not letting it be in charge. Interesting. Water. Take a drink of water. It's not happy with taking a drink of water. Water is good for you. You're giving it something. A moment passes. Sing a song. You know, if you're singing a song, you're not going to be putting anything in your mouth. Sure, the situation and circumstances have relevance, but I don't know about you, but oftentimes, just to get by the moment, I've sung a song and the song occupied me fully. So whatever it was that was bothering me at that moment passed because I took action for me. I sang a song. Verbalize. Say something. Ah, here we go again. The voice is talking. It wants me to cheat. Oh, what am I going to do? It won't shut up. It won't shut up. It won't shut up. Get up and go for a walk. When you get up and go for a walk, it'll occupy you. When you say, here we go again, what you're saying is, I know this battle that goes on before. I used to just give in and feel guilt and shame and remorse. Now, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to say to the voice, you want something? Okay, I hear you. Right now, I'm going for a walk. Or, I remember the discussion and the argument that we have. Do Qigong. You know, the Qigong breathing was added to the program by Dr. Chu for all kinds of good reasons. And it has all kinds of good stuff attached to it. So that, for example, with me, one of the things I realize when I do the Qigong, it actually empties my head. For a period of time, I'm focusing on my breathing. I'm focusing on my relaxing. I'm focusing on the fact that I know when I'm finished doing the Qigong, I'm going to be more relaxed. I'm going to have less tension. The voice says, I want. Okay, I want to. I'm going to do some Qigong breathing. It's a change. It's on my list. It works for me. I'm the boss. I recognize I'm the boss. And I recognize that I'm also not addressing what the voice wants. I hear it. It bothers me. It doesn't care that I hear it. It doesn't care that it bothers me. It's going to do what it does until, and this is the point, the moment I do the Qigong breathing, it quiets the voice. Oh, it's only for 2 minutes. It's only for 5 minutes. There you go. You've already given me an excuse not to make a change. And why would you do that? I thought that you wanted to weigh less, and the voice was at a certain point, for whatever reason it is. I don't really care why that voice wants what it wants. I know that I'm me, and that voice is only a part of me. Which part? What part? It's irrelevant. It's not me. If it were you, we would not be having a discussion. The voice wouldn't say, I want, you would know, and you would act upon it. Well, now you're saying I'm not going to act upon it because that's not good for me. And that's the first step. You said you're not acting on it in the way in which it wants you to be acted upon because you're not going to feel good. And since this part of you is not in charge, you've got it on your list. I have a list here that I made for myself. You should make a list that you make for yourself. And this is the point. What is this process all about? The reason we're here and the reason we go through this week after week is we're building a curriculum that once we have completed the curriculum, the problem is no longer a problem because we understand all aspects of it. Remember what we've agreed to. There is within our psyches, because of what happened when we were born, we fussed and a breast or a bottle was thrust in our mouths. That breast, that bottle comforted us. And I'm not sure because I don't remember that far back, but I'm told that they washed me, they wrapped me, they took me away. My mother took a nap. She asked for her baby boy. That was me. They brought me there, and I began to fuss, and she nursed me. How incredibly powerful within the first few hours of my life. Comfort came with warmth and closeness and with food. Now, if you are an alcoholic, I could take alcohol out of your life. If you were a drug addict, I could take drugs out of your life. It ain't going to happen, and you know it. I can't take food out of your life, and neither can you, because we can't survive without food. And we are now in phase one. Phase one is weigh less. We agree in phase one that if we wish to weigh less, we have to change our behavior. We recognize that aspects of our personality are such, especially the remembrance of the comfort that food gave us. And this part of myself, which is saying I want, is a part of myself, but is not myself. And I made the choice to weigh less. And that voice is not happy with that choice that I made. All of that is real. All of that is good. None of that diminishes the fact that I am the most important person in my life. Remember what I've said. I'm dating someone. They're into me. I'm into them. And we're dating. We're getting to know each other, but we're into each other. And all of a sudden, I decide to say to that person, I'm falling in love with you. And that's a reinforcement for that person because they're into me and they wanted to hear that I was really into them. Now, it's a couple weeks later. Somehow or other, beyond my understanding, this person discovers that I am not in love with me. Now, if I am not in love with me, can that person trust or believe that I am having love for them? And my answer is absolutely not, because if I don't love me, where am I going to get the love for them? I decided I want to weigh less. I don't have to justify it. That's what I want. So I have to acknowledge that if I continue my behaviors, whatever they are, my wanting to weigh less is not going to be achieved. So I have to make a change. Let's not make it bigger than what it is. And you see, this is the whole thing. We get into these processes here that make us nuts. I want to weigh less because I want to weigh less. Don't ask me why I want to weigh less. It's none of your business. Now, if I choose to share with you any thoughts I have, that's fine. But I don't need to justify myself. Now, I've chosen accurate weight loss. Well, and people will give you all kinds of stories. Now, the biggest issue, and we all know the truth. You have an opinion. I have an opinion. My opinion differs from your opinion. Now, I don't know about you, but one of the things that I've discovered more and more and more and more is because my opinion is different than yours, I'm wrong. It's irrelevant about the details. I know I'm right, and therefore you're wrong. Do we learn anything? Do we grow? Is it possible that any aspect of what you're saying is meaningful? Yes, but we're never going to get there because I know you're wrong, and therefore our entire discussion is to get you to accept that I'm right. Meaningful, learning, irrelevant. The key here is to recognize that we make excuses out of habit. Well, the reason I bought this car is, well, why didn't you buy this car? Now, as soon as that person says to me, well, why didn't you buy this car? It sets up a whole parameter of irrelevancies because that person is not sharing with me all of the dynamics involved, that what the differences would be if I did this versus this. They brought up what they brought up because for them, that's right. That's what you should do. And it's irrelevant whether what you should do is good or bad for you because you're wrong. And why are you wrong? Because they're right. Now, let's go back. I decided, or the guy I just saw before we came in here, he is ecstatic. In 2 months, he's already lost 44 pounds. But, and that's the thing, these opinions, these pieces of personality have begun to reveal themselves. Where do they come from? I think last time I was here, I shared with you the guilt that I had in growing up just before World War II, when my mother served me something that didn't taste good, and I pushed the plate away, and she said to me, "Children in Europe are starving. You will not get up from the table until you finish your food." I still today, at times, I haven't finished my plate. And I have to think twice about, sorry about that. I have to think twice about dealing with it because that old thought inside my head that children in Europe are starving makes me feel guilty about not finishing that plate. Now, if I did finish that plate, I would be upset too, because had I wanted more, I would have had more. The fact that I didn't finish the plate said I had had enough. But because of those voices, and that's what we need to deal with. These are the important things. One of the things that happens to people on the program is they begin to recognize where they fit into the picture. What is it we are doing here this evening? We're talking about weighing less. And the details are very interesting because, as I said to you, it's a course, so there's a curriculum. But all of the other things about life and living can go by the boards if we don't accept the simple truth. I must change my behavior in order to achieve my goal. Think about that. I must change my behavior to achieve my goal. I recognize that if I change my behavior, I raise the odds of reaching my goal. But I also know that by changing my behavior, I'm going to feel uncomfortable. Now, why would you do anything to make yourself uncomfortable? Let's try to make sense out of this. I want what I want when I want it, and the only way I can get it is not by continuing to do what I have been doing, because if I continue to do what I'm doing, I'm going to be here. Nothing is going to change. So I have to change my behavior. And if I change my behavior, I'm going to move to something I'm not used to. And unless I'm a very special personality, that change is going to make me uncomfortable because there's a degree of uncertainty about it. And we could raise a million questions as to what that uncertainty is. But why? I made the decision I want to weigh less. That decision requires that I change my behavior. Changing my behavior requires that I accept the discomfort. And now it's where the information should come in. That's where the growth and the learning takes place. And the recognition, and this is important. You are the center of your universe. If you are not happy with you, then you walk around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with someone with whom you are unhappy. And that doesn't change because that person with whom you're not happy is not going to disappear. And only through change can you reach some form of success. And all of us are capable of that if we accept the fact, in my life, I'm number one. Do you have thoughts? I have thoughts. Do you always think about things that make you happy? I don't know about you, but I don't always have thoughts that are happy or make me feel good. Sometimes I have thoughts which are not so pleasant. Now, when I was a psychologist, and this is a real learning for me, for over 50 years, I was a psychologist. And people came to see me because they had questions and issues in their life. And those questions and issues disturbed them. And one of the interesting things is that after 50 years of no one ever coming to see me who was happy, and I was aware of the fact, why would someone who's happy come to see me? I weighed almost 300 pounds. And that's when I met Dr. Chu. Now, if you believe in destiny or something, great, because I do. And Dr. Chu took me on as an assistant, no pay, in the study that he was doing at the medical school on the hypothalamus. Let's forget about the study. He said to me as we approached the finish of the study, Dr. Schwartz, you're unhappy. You've been excited doing what we're doing here. I suggest, and I will assist you, that you change from psychology to weight loss. And since I have an office here in Newark, I think you should open up an office in my Newark office. All very convenient. And then he said, there is a problem, however. And the problem is that you are almost 300 pounds because you've been taking in all of this that people have been bringing to you, and you've been using food to escape. I laugh because I say, when people ask me, he said, you cannot be an overweight doctor. What he actually said is, if you're going to be a weight doctor, you can't be fat. And so I went on the program. Same one you're on. And I lost in 3 months 84 pounds. And here's another interesting thing. The interesting thing is that I lost 84 pounds and I hated every single day I was on the program. I couldn't wait for the program to end. And you know what I've learned? It's really okay. Because I stuck to the program because it was working for me. I didn't have to like it. It didn't make any difference whether I liked it or not. What made the difference is I made myself important enough to put up with my emotional feelings to obtain a goal that changed my life. You have those choices now. We go through all kinds of things. Hi, Julie. We go through all kinds of things. All of us do. When you begin to recognize, and that's the important thing, this program taught me that I had more value than I believed. I deserve. And by choosing to do the program, I made myself important enough to get what I wanted, despite the fact that emotionally I was not happy with it. There really was no downside. It was a learning experience. It was that voice that we talk about. I sometimes call that voice my child self. And I have many life experiences as you with that child voice. I talk about we're going to the park, and I have my 9-year-old granddaughter with me. And we park, and we get out of the car, and I take her hand because we're not in the park now. And I'm holding her hand because I want to keep her safe. And we start walking. And she says, "Grandpa, let go of my hand, I want." I don't know about you, but I'm not comfortable letting go of her hand because in my head, the issue of security and protection is not solid. And she's pulling and her voice is getting louder. And she's pulling and her voice is getting louder. And now she says to me, "You never let me, you never listen to me." And I'm hearing the voice. I don't know about you. I hear the voice. I'm paying attention to it. But I'm also paying attention to the fact that that voice is a child who wants what it wants when it wants it and has no life experience. That's dangerous. I'm the protector. And so I wait until we're into the park, and then I let go of her hand. We all should be doing the same thing in recognizing that we are the most important person in our lives. And if we treat ourselves, and not narcissistically, we're not talking about self-love. We're talking about liking, in my case, liking the guy that I am. Liking how I behave with you. Liking what I think and why I'm expressing it with you. And that's what we are all about. Now, last piece. This has been an incredibly learning experience for me this week. I cannot tell you how many personal consultations I've had on the phone. People asking me all kinds of questions about Easter, about vacation, about this food, about that food, about going here, about doing that. People have questions. That's what we are all about. But if you don't ask the questions that you have, you're stuck without an answer and you have to make one up. If you don't have all the information and you make up an answer, are you doing yourself a service? Dr. S at AccuWeight.com. That's an email address that will come to me. 973-243-0777. That's a telephone number that will come to me. It's a machine. And all you need to do is say, Doc, this is so-and-so. I have a question. Here is my number. Give me a call. That's what we are all about. That's where our growth comes from. Because in answering questions, I learn things as well. And I can share them with all of us. I want to thank you all. Have a great week. And I can't wait to hear from you.